All right, dear listeners, you are listening to Aspire Radio Talk Show right here on Radio Maria, Yatsani Voice 99.3 is where you are. We are discussing personal financial management. Mmenetenga to senzesela ndalama ngati antu kusenzesa ndalama maubwino ninjila bwanji zimenetenga to senzesela ndalama. And in studio helping us look at this topic of discussion, we have Mr. Isaac Sintumfia, who happens to be a business consultant, and he defines poverty as having less than 100,000 in your account. We also have Mr. Edson Matonka, who happens to be an author, leadership trainer, and the director of Gobelo Conversation. Not forgetting Uncle D, coming in from a parent's perspective, giving us what he feels about personal financial management. Now, coming to you, Mr. Edson, according to the rules of thumb, it says the very first rule of personal finance says pay yourself first, which simply means that out of your monthly income, a certain percentage has to be saved before it is spent. Income minus savings equal to expenses. In your perspective, do you agree to this law which Thumbs brings out?
Well, I would like to say that is very true. What a lot of people get to do is they tend to spend before they can save. And that creates some sort of commotion. They end up overspending because that way it's hard to exercise a discipline. Okay, but in the actual sense, it has to be, first of all, you spend out of what you have already saved. You start by saving, then later on, that's when you get to spend. Okay, now there is that saying in the Bible which says, in the book of Proverbs, that where there is no vision, my people perish. At some point, I sat down to do a study on what causes people to perish. Okay, one of the things is lack of vision, and the other one is disbelief. Now, that word there, vision, is actually interpreted or translated as constraint, which is discipline. So one of the things I love to say over time as I do my leadership training is that there can be no financial abundance without planning and discipline. And without goals and vision, exercising discipline comes so hard. So you should be able to have a vision. So people need to set goals so that even as they have their income coming in, they already know what portion to save. Okay? At least it has to go that way. You start by saving, then out of what you have already saved, the remainder is what you budget for, is what you plan to spend on. So that is my perspective. So in other words, I actually do concur and agree with that law.
Uncle D, obviously would like to come in on that one as well.
Yes. The problem that we have is that a lot of us, I think, don't learn these things while we're young. We come to meet them, and the tragic story today is if I see my friend succeeding, I also want to succeed without knowing what methodology or what theory or what he is doing in order to have what they have. The problem that we have is that when we see our friends going ahead or moving or succeeding, we all want to succeed without knowing what formula is he using. You know, as a parent, one of the things I've discovered is right from the word go, at an early age, is the issue is to learn how to be disciplined. Believe me, you can never be successful as a businessman, as an entrepreneur, or whatever you call it, unless you are disciplined. Without discipline, it becomes very possible. I've read the story. I get too little. How can I save? And the experts will tell you, even the little that you have, if you can save something, even if it's just anywhere, believe me, it will be something at the end of the year.
It will go a long way.
But we say, me, I get too little, I can't save. And to make matters worse, others do things what I would call, they buy. They are not even accounting how much money they have. All they are doing is spending, and at the end of the day, there's how much did we have? It's too late. They should be able to sit there because, like you said, the rule of thumb is first know how much you have. There is 1%, then put it aside. That's how it works out.
All right. Coming to you, Mr. Isaac. Yes. How specifically can one track his or her own finances?
first of all, as an individual, you need to sit down and then look at the ones I would call the 3 basic rules of finances. Number one is being able to know what you are actually worth. And how you come up with that figure is as follows. You first of all have to add up all the assets that belong to you, things that you can say, this is mine, this shirt is mine, this car is mine, this house is mine. You add up all those things, give them a value. And when you've added them all up, hypothetically, let's just say they are totaling to 1,000 kwacha. Then the next thing that you need to add up are things that you are now owing, or your expectations of payments that you're supposed to make, the bills that you're supposed to make at the end of the day, the school fees, and so on and so forth. So those activities that are actually taking money out of your life. So you add those ones up. Those are your dates. So now you add those ones up. Remember I said you add the assets first of all, and then those assets are in 2 parts. There are assets that you can sell immediately, and the assets that you can't just sell immediately. So those that you can sell immediately, we call them liquid assets or current assets. So you add those ones up, and then you also add those ones that you can sell in a long term, or in a very long time, like a house, for instance. You can just wake up this morning and say, I'm selling a house, and somebody shows up to buy it. So now you've got all your assets, you've got everything else that you're owing, and subtract what you're owing from the assets. So if let's say all your assets, including your cash at hand, you're only amounting to 1,000 kwacha, and when you add the bills that you're supposed to pay at the end of a month, or almost immediately, they are crossing 1,000 kwacha. That means you are in debt. In other words, your financial net worth is negative, and it's in red. You really need an immediate intervention.
Yes.
But then if all your dues, your responsibilities are only amounting to 900 kwacha, 800 kwacha, let's say 800 kwacha, you've got 200 kwacha difference. That means your net worth is 200 kwacha. Even when you go to borrow the money from the bank, they're not going to pay you based on the 1,000 kwacha that you have in assets. They will look at the 200 kwacha net worth that you have, and then decide how much to give you, plus or minus, around that area. So establish these particular guidelines very clearly. Know at any given point in time to say, my net worth, I'm either in red, or I've just broken even, or I'm doing very well. And then at the end of a month, you should be able to track your expenses very well, because your expenses are what defines your expenses. When you add them up, later on, it's what culminates into how much assets you've acquired, how many current assets and how many fixed assets you've acquired. And so how to track these expenses? I usually give people simple analogies to say, nowadays we're living in a phone-centric world. The smartphone has taken up the whole world.
Yes.
So if you can't sit down and then write an invoice or write a receipt and write down whatever you can write, make use of your phone. I mean, every time you purchase something else, record it. Every time you purchase this, record it. And at the end of the month, sit down and see exactly where your money is going. Because in as much as I believe that there are diabolical things that goes around monies in Africa where money just disappears, I believe that 99% of the money that disappears actually never disappears spiritually, but it goes to some expenses. And only by you recording those expenses will you be able to know which ones are the leaking points, and then you'll be able to close them nicely. But if you don't record, you're just spending, like our daddy here was saying, you're just buying things on impulse. You look at it, I think I can afford this one, let me buy it. Why are you buying it? If you don't buy it, what are the consequences? So track down all these expenses, then you'll be able to see the leaking points. And if you've been suspecting that there's a kambuma somewhere that has been eating the money, you find it written down in your expenses there. So just cancel it in the following month.
All right, so this has been Aspire Radio Talk Show. A lot of thoughts have come out of this program. Hopefully you are writing down the points that we were talking about right here, dealing with personal financial management. Obviously, this is really making sense to your life. That's why we are bringing this finance and business management class on radio, to just get to enlighten one another about issues to do with personal finance management and entrepreneurship and so on and so forth. Let's continue with with these discussions surrounding surrounding finance and business management class on radio next week as we return with Aspire Radio Talk. So 17 hours is the time that we'll be here with yet another exciting edition of Aspire Radio Talk Show. From me, Thomas Mwale, this is where I need to wrap it up. I love you, but God loves you the most. Keep it 99.3 FM. Goodbye. Please note that the views expressed on Aspire Radio Talk Show do not in any way reflect those of Radio Maria Yatsani Voice. Radio Maria, where Christ is the light.